Hey, good morning everybody. Today I'm going to show you how to make baked beans in an Instant Pot. Now, they're not actually baked because they're not in an oven, but they taste pretty good. Now for this, I am using fresh side pork instead of salt pork, which is traditional in some. This was the only one they had. There's a lot of fat in it and there's the rind as well. So I'll show you how to do that and kind of weigh it out. Yeah, so here's the list of ingredients. I have my beans pre-soaked. Now, I know I've seen a lot of recipes on the internet where they do make a big deal of doing it like no soaking, but the times are kind of touch and go. And I look at it this way: how hard is it before you go to bed? Take the pack, throw it in a bowl, cover it with water, go to bed. And this one will not go wrong on you. Okay, the amount of water, when I did my initial experiment, I used 8 cups. And it turned out like bean soup, and I had to boil it down quite a long time on the saute function. So I'm pulling it back. I looked at how long I had to boil, and 6.5 cups sounds about right. We'll find out. Oops, I'm experimenting in a video. Don't tell anybody. All right, so let's get going. I chop my onion first, even though the side pork is going to get fried first, for the simple reason that you get like a nice clean chop with onions, and the side pork gets the knife a little greasy, which makes it a bit hard to handle, and you got a higher risk of cutting yourself. So do this first. I still have all 10, so I must be doing something right, eh? And yes, that's a big nasty looking piece of meat, but you want beans, good beans. Yeah, this is the real one. It still has the skin on it. Now, I probably should get my boning knife for this. If you are going to use a boning knife, proceed with caution. Okay, try to cut away from yourself at all times. You know, either you hit the skin or you're in the fat, because when you're in the fat, it slides through. So not to worry about that. So once you've got a good grip on it, and you can just kind of nudge that up and slice very gently. I know some people might find this a tad gruesome, but that's how you know that you've got the good one, is when the pig skin comes with it. Yeah, once you got a really good grab on it, you can start slicing quicker. When all said and done, yeah, 251 grams, so half a pound of a nice looking side pork, if you can get it pre-done for you at the butcher. Now, if you've got a well-behaved piece of this from the butcher, you can just do your usual kind of dice up like an onion. This one is all over the map, so I'm just going to cut it in rough pieces. This will all render down while it cooks, so no worries there. So I'm going to start that on saute by itself, just to get a little bit of the fat rendered out before I throw the onion in. Now these are from last night. I haven't changed the water yet. You'll notice there's actually bubbles floating on the surface. So if I rinse this a couple of times, you can see the water's a little cloudy on the first rinse. Now that could be a little residual dirt. More likely it's some surface starch as well from the beans that have been soaking overnight. Now you can use this opportunity to just like put your hand through them quickly, and if there's any nasties, pick them out. Now I've been using a much higher quality stuff. I've stopped doing bargain for this. As I said in previous videos, the risk to your teeth of getting a rock in these for saving $1 on cheap beans is just not worth it. Okay, but these are all looking really nice. So, and yes, I will drain these. Okay. The reason I make a point of draining these is if you do not do this, you do not have control over the amount of water in your recipe. And if you don't have control of the water content, then the consistency will change every time. What you want to do is you want to get a recipe that you can just basically throw it in the Instant Pot, cook it, and it comes out every time. Now the fresh stuff smells like pork chops. If you ever use salt pork, you'll notice it sort of smells like armpits. That's because of the salt content when the moisture hits it. Yeah. Well, hey, there's also some other foods in cooking that smell like other body parts and then taste better, so you never know it. Okay, so once that's started, get the onion in and a teaspoon of salt. Word of caution here, if you decide that you do want to use the salt pork, do not add any salt at all. It'll be way too salty to eat. And the salt pork should actually be rinsed a couple of times if you are going to use that, or if that's all you can get. This is a little difficult to see with the steam, but I'll kind of wave it away. When you cannot see really any visible pieces of fat, that it's all rendered into the onions, that's when you're ready to go. So you can just turn that saute off, put the water in first. That will help you to deglaze any stuck bits on the bottom. You don't want to have too many of those because you don't want to trigger like a burn function or anything, because you are putting molasses in here, okay? So now, once somebody said to me on another recipe, where's the brown sugar? I like using molasses. If you're happy with the brown sugar conversion, by all means, go ahead. I just prefer the taste of this, and this is what I've been making pretty much all my life. So, well, since I could cook. My cooking life, yeah. Oh, which is not as long as my real life. I feel younger already. Give it a good sprinkle of black pepper if you like that, not too much. Garlic powder, dry mustard. If all you have is prepared mustard, use that, but the taste will not be the same. Stir that up to get the mustard in. Put your beans in. Notice I don't just pour it. If you make a mistake, this is going all over the floor. So, not that I've ever done that. Well, not the whole thing. Give that a stir. I put the molasses in last. More of a habit than necessity. I just love to see this stuff pour. Okay. Exactly 1 cup. And then just pour that around. Alright, so that's ready to go. Usual protocol, check your vent. Make sure it's clear before you put pressure on. Key with any pressure cooker. So put it on the bean chili setting for 35 minutes. It just beeped a minute ago that it's done. This I do a fast release on. The button dropped. It's time for the reveal. Oh, just right. Now, it looks watery because the beans are still literally boiling. Okay, because they're beans, they will thicken up considerably. If you think you have too much sauce, if you think you have too much sauce, then what you do is just hit cancel on the keep warm, turn on the saute, and when it comes to heat, I'll show you what. So once you see it started boiling here, just let it go and give it a stir every bit. See, you can see it's already starting to thicken up as it cooled off. But for you know, educational purposes, I will let this thicken up more, even though I like it now, just so you can see how you can adjust the consistency and the texture of the finished product. Now, this is boiling vigorously is an understatement, so what you do is when you stir it, take a look at the consistency. See, before when we first started it was slightly watery, not too bad because it hadn't cooled off yet, but even at full boil, you can see that the beans and the sauce are following the spatula in a wave. That shows that it's thickening up. The spatula is not just moving through this like water. So if you boil it down anymore, when it cools off, you'll pretty much have solid sludge and no sauce. So I'm just going to stop now. That's cooled off enough now that you can see the actual consistency. Yeah, those are doing good. And you can see when you stir them, they will thicken up quite a bit on cooling. But there's just enough sauce that they're nice to eat. And there's the pork, browned and fully cooked, soaked up the molasses and all the seasonings. And I already know these are good, but I want to have a taste anyways. Oh yeah. So that's how I make baked beans in an Instant Pot. I do really hope you try this. I think they're really good. Okay, see y'all later and subscribe.